Welcome to The Explainer. So, have you ever thought a cruise ship could hold the key to solving global conflict? Well, today we're unpacking a really fascinating philosophy from a community leader who basically argues just that. He reframes a simplification into nothing less than a mission to save a stagnant world. Okay, so let's get into it. The whole thing starts on a cruise ship, but right away it's clear this is no ordinary holiday. The speaker sets the scene against a backdrop of global turmoil. And then he asks this really pointed question. In a world that feels like it's on fire, what's the point of taking a cruise? And here's the first big twist. He immediately reframes the trip, a cruise from Singapore to Malaysia, not as some fun getaway, but as a critical exploration. Think of it more like a field study of international society. So yeah, this was definitely not about sightseeing. The stated purpose was pure intelligence gathering. They were there to observe, to study the different layers of society, from the service staff all the way up to the wealthy passengers, all to understand how the world really works. This was all just laying the groundwork for a much larger mission. But, and this is key, the speaker is very clear, the time for action isn't now. This whole phase is about learning. Okay, so what is this huge problem that needs so much study? Well, this is where the speaker lays out this grand, almost sweeping theory about our modern era. He basically argues that humanity has hit a wall. So here's how he lays it out. You have the 20th century, a period of just explosive growth, right? Think Industrial Revolution all the way to the internet. Then, sometime around the year 2000, everything just hits the brakes. And for the last decade or so, we haven't just slowed down, we've been completely stuck in what he calls a great stagnation. And here's where this whole idea gets really serious. The speaker draws a direct line from this stagnation to war. The core idea is that progress isn't just some nice-to-have thing. It's absolutely essential. Without it, societies lose their sense of purpose, they turn inward on themselves, and they begin to rot. And that decay, he says, is what bubbles up as conflict. Now, to really bring this idea home and make it concrete, the speaker uses his own home country, South Korea, as a prime example, almost like a case study for the symptoms of this societal sickness. So, in this worldview, when a society loses its forward momentum, it just turns on itself. All that energy that once went into building the future, it gets redirected into these internal squabbles, into blaming each other and into resenting anyone who seems to be doing well. So you see things like public anger over a rich person's vacation or what watch a politician is wearing. In this view, that's not just about simple class envy. It's a symptom of a much deeper disease, a nation that has lost its collective purpose. The speaker's point is that when a society has, quote, nothing to do, its people just turn to tearing each other down over the most trivial things. All right, so if stagnation is the disease, what's the cure? Well, the speaker's answer isn't some immediate, grand action. Instead, it's a full decade of intense preparation. And get this, there's a very specific deadline for this whole prep phase, the year 2030. The entire period leading up to that point is dedicated solely to one thing, getting ready for what comes next. And here's the mission between now and 2030. It's a pretty simple two-step process. Step 1, gather the right people, bring them together. Step 2, study. Engage in this really deep study to answer two huge fundamental questions. Who are we, and what is our purpose for all of humanity? The goal here isn't to go out and convert people one by one. It's way, way more ambitious than that. The mission is to actually research and build an entirely new model for society, what they call a new paradigm, that is so effective and so compelling that it can literally pull the entire world out of this stagnation. So what happens after 2030? What's the end game for all this prep and study? Well, this is where the vision goes from being a community mission to a truly global one. The speaker is predicting a massive shift in how global power works. The future, he says, won't be one with armies or through politics. It's going to be one with inspiration. So the ultimate goal is to become a group so admirable, so successful, that the rest of the world chooses to follow your lead. This quote really just nails the whole strategy. It's all about attraction, not assertion. The idea isn't to force an ideology on anyone. It's to become, in the speaker's own words, the cool people. Role models who are so clearly living a better way that others are just naturally drawn to it. And this philosophy, it extends to every little detail of life. How you dress, how you speak, the way you carry yourself. It all becomes part of the mission. The idea is to embody this higher culture, to literally become a walking, talking advertisement for a better future that a stagnant world is just desperately looking for. So there you have it, a diagnosis of global stagnation and a decades-long plan to cure it, not with force but with inspiration. It's a really powerful vision that reframes everything from a cruise ship vacation to your personal style as part of a global mission, and it leaves us all with a pretty critical question to think about. If our world is stagnant, what does real progress actually look like today?